fourth grade. Today we're going to be making a coil pot. So you're going to be getting a piece of clay from me at the drive-thru. You need to get a clay messy mat and a wooden skewer. At your table spots there'll be some serrated ribs and some rolling pins. You'll also need to get a cup of water that's filled about halfway. The first thing you need to do is make a slab of clay. That's a pancake. So taking that clay, you're just going to wave goodbye and start squeezing it into a pancake shape. I'm grabbing and I'm just gently kind of squeezing to get it looking like it's flat. Once it's kind of starting to go in the correct shape, I'm going to take my rolling pin and I'm going to roll out a slab. Now as I'm rolling, I'm not pressing very hard to begin with. If I press really hard right from the start, it's just going to be skinny in one spot and thick in the other. And our goal is to have an even thickness of clay. So I'm just pressing with about a medium to soft amount of pressure. I'm rolling out my slab. And you notice how I'm flipping it after every roll or so? That's so that my clay is starting to get even thickness. If I just roll in one direction over and over again, it's going to be bumpy. So sometimes I roll across, sometimes I roll side to side, sometimes I roll diagonally. I'm changing the direction that I roll so that it's going to be the same thickness from one side to the other. Now this is quite a bit of clay. I'm going to have a lot extra. That's okay. I just want to have a nice surface of clay that I can cut a circle out of. This is going to be the base or the bottom to your bowl. As you're rolling your slab, you don't want it to be thinner than your thumb, okay? If it's thinner than your thumb, it's going to be too fragile and isn't going to work. Now this is quite a lot of extra. I'm just going to put this off to the side to make some coils and keep working on this piece. I'll pass this rolling pin off to somebody else. The next step is I need to cut a circle out of this. The circle can't be bigger than my hand when it's spread out like this, but it can't be smaller than my palm. So in between this size is what your circle needs to be. How I draw this out is I use my wooden skewer and I just kind of gently sketch it. I'm not pressing very hard because if I make a mistake, I can take my finger and erase it. But do you see how I use multiple lines to try to sketch out that circle? That looks pretty good. If there's a mistake, just erase it. Once I've got that circle line that I would like to follow, I'm going to press all the way through and cut out a circle. This is the base to my bowl. It's going to stay on my messy mat. If I leave it on my table, it's going to start to stick. Now I'm ready to start making some coils. A coil is a long cylinder of clay. So to start getting my clay in the right shape, I'm waving goodbye and I'm squeezing it to look like a long cylinder, okay? Once it's kind of looking like a cylinder, it can start to roll. When I roll a coil, it's kind of similar to a slab. I'm not pressing very hard to start with. I'm just going an even to light amount of pressure. If it's not quite the right shape, squeeze it so that it's round and then keep rolling. I'm rolling from my palm to my fingers. Do you see how I start to spread out my fingers so that it's an even amount of pressure? If I have too much, just put some to the side and keep working. I'm ready to start working now. If this is too long, I can easily cut it in half or use my fingers and pinch off half, all right? The coil can't be thinner than my thumb. If it's thinner than my thumb, I won't have enough clay to actually build. So the next step is when I'm attaching these two pieces of clay, I need to first scratch. Scratch is spreading the fingers of the clay apart so that they'll stick together. I'm scratching the base, giving it some texture. I'm scratching the coil. This is why you want it nice and thick. If it's too thin, you won't be able to scratch. Then I'm going to add a little bit of water. Put some water just on my fingertips. Spread it around where the scratch marks are. A little bit of water on the coil. And start to make my attachment. Okay? I'm going to lay that coil on the base. Have it go all the way around. If it's too long, measure it off. Okay, so scratch, slip or water, and press. Now I need to take my finger and on the inside, you see how I'm pulling some of that coil down to the base? My left hand is holding it up. It's kind of like a little wall on the other side. If I was just pressing out with my hand supporting, then the coil is going to start to roll out and it will just keep going flat. I want it to go up. So I'm supporting from one side and pressing with the other. If there's any spots where the clay isn't quite right, I can just take my finger and smooth that out. Notice how I haven't used any more water. This is all just from the clay that's wet. I can smooth that out so I don't see my fingerprints. Always supporting with my left hand. All right, now I'm ready for my next coil. I rolled out a bunch ahead of time so that I could keep working here. But if you needed to roll out coils, that would be your next step. Scratch. Water, press. Now this isn't quite long enough. If that happens to you, you can just take another coil and kind of fill it in. Pressing the top coil down to the second row, always supporting with the outside hand. I want it to go up, not out. You need to have at least 3 layers of coils. Okay, so that's 2. I would need at least 1 more. Now, there's some other techniques with coils that you can try. You can build all sorts of stuff with these. You could have your coils maybe spiral. So if I bring that coil over and I have it spiraled up, that means it's twisting around. This could be an interesting thing that I add to my coil pot so that I've got some different kinds of lines. So if I want to add something like this, I still need to scratch, add water, and smooth, but you could use some other techniques to add to your bowl if you would like. It doesn't all just have to be straight horizontal coils. Okay, so I added that spiral there for a little line design, and then I could have maybe another coil come right around and meet it like this. When your coil bowl is done, it has at least 3 layers of coils. Raise your hand and I will write your name on it and it will go in the kiln. I can't wait to see what you create with these coil techniques.